Come on, ride the train and ride it. Woo, woo. That's right. Tonight we are talking about roller coaster rotations. Starting pitchers are 10, 11 starts in. You've got questions. We've got answers. This is a buy, sell, hold episode. It's time for dingers.
This is Dingers, way more than fantasy baseball. We keep it real when we talk and knock it straight out the park. Let's see the stats. What's the average draft position? What kind of plays you making? Check the wins above replacement. Check the lineups and the points. This I gotta see. What's your path to victory? Are they aiming for a dynasty? Get points going head to head. Please don't do me no favors. We're always watching waivers. Ain't no minor league. This is major. Yeah, Dingers. Let's go.
Welcome to Dingers, the only fantasy baseball podcast for smart people. It's not just Mickey Moniak that wins you championships. That's why week in and week out, we're delivering tips and strategies to help you live that straight up OG lifestyle. Tyler Child's joined, as always, by Gustavo Chassin. What's
That's
happening?
Right. I was going more for Brett Cecil. Brett Cecil with the fake glasses here. Boop,
yeah,
boop.
but that the Gustavo is just for deep fake fans. Like you gotta know,
Yep.
like most people, like, who is Gustavo Chassin? Like, that's not a household name.
Yeah, never a fan.
Neither is Brett Cecil, either. But yeah,
Brett Cecil had a moment. He had I don't know if he set a record or came like within grasp of like X number of innings without allowing a run or something like that, and then got like a 4-year, $27 million deal with the Cardinals, and that was the end of Brett Cecil.
Yeah, that's like a slow tank job the Jays keep doing to the Cardinals, like hype up pitcher, get him going, then the Cardinals send some money his way, and then they're just terrible.
Well, but then the Jays take the Colby Rasmus and Randall Grichuk's of the world, and then you're left with a bitter taste in your mouth.
Okay, yeah, the world goes round. You're right.
Yeah,
I see it now.
Yeah. But Ty, how are you? I see your beautiful KC hat. We have not recorded in quite some time because, my goodness, we're just ballers. We're so busy with life, and yeah.
No, I picked myself up a KC City Connect hat. I'm going to own a KC City Connect jersey. I just have some decisions to make on whether I'm just going directly to Pasquantino or what I want to do with that setup. But Pasquantino, in that series, we were there. They're playing the White Sox. Absolutely raked. Just an impressive specimen that guy is. So I'm officially a fan. I was already kind of there, but I'm officially like on the bus on Vinny P. So that's, I mean, it's not that anybody shouldn't be at this point. It just, more in the, like, you're probably going to hear me be annoying about it moving forward. So you have that to look forward to.
A name to add to the list. All right, cool.
Right. So good stuff. How about you, Robbie? What's new, buddy?
Well, the hat thing I was talking about a long time ago, how I think could have been like the best deal of my life. You know what? It was a scam, damn it. It was a scam. So that's why I didn't tell anybody where to go, because I didn't want to lead anyone astray. And when it ended up arriving, it was shipped from Australia, which, took a month, and led me to believe that actual like merchandise stitched things were coming. But what actually came was like a scarf bandana with like a floral pattern of some sort. It was the least expensive thing they could get to ship so that they could hose me. So I called my good friends at MasterCard and made a claim, and they said, well, the purchase was out of, England. And I said, well, the shipping was out of Australia, and showed them a couple things. You go to the website and it says, don't go to this website. It's, malware or whatever. So they were like, okay, this is clearly a scam. We're going to credit you back and like ask the whoever they drew the money from for some details. But they said, odds are we'll never hear back. So you're not going to have to worry about it. So that sucked. Instead of having 14 cool hats, I'm wearing one that I got at Canada Day like 9 years ago. With the Blue Jays. So, but otherwise it's been okay, Ty. I did, for the first time, truck update, get to take my truck on the road today. It's not officially license plated, but I took it for just a quick toot down the road, turned, came back, and it felt great. So I think in the next week it's going to be getting its safety, and that bad boy is going to be on the road. So
nice.
Yes.
That's exciting. It's been a long time coming.
It's more exciting than my fantasy baseball league so far.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it in like retro magazines from 1982. It's going to be great. Good stuff. So, I mean, it's been a while, Robbie. So I think, the obvious thing for us to do is to toast to that. A long time ago, someone decided to put stuff in glass bottles. In some of these bottles, they put juice or milk, and that was stupid. Today, only alcohol and a few other products remain in the containers from the gods. It's time for beers and bourbon, because good advice only comes in a bottle. Boom.
Boom. Now I'm only opening one. I'm going basic tonight. Coors Banquet.
Classic.
Thank you very much. I guess it says Coors Original now, but anyway, we know it here in Canada as Coors Banquet.
Yeah.
And I just saw a fun comment back from our friend Mason McRae at somebody who took the side by side of Bo Bichette and Zach Neto's swing, and his comment is "Swing won't work, small school, blah blah." Which I thought was great, because for everybody, I was so excited for Neto, talking superstar here. He came on slow, but thankfully the Angels just dropped him from 1 to 9 back in the lineup. And then once he started doing his thing, he's in the show here. And he's been heating up, and Neto has been doing very well. And I
that's
cannot acquire him anywhere I didn't already.
Robbie. Perfect segue to why he was bumped to 9, because that's my boy, Mickey Moniak. He coming in hot.
Yeah, get him out of the way, Ty. Let's get him out of the way.
I gotta get it. Let's go, baby. But I've been telling you guys for years now, years on years, that this was coming, and it was just a matter of time. And he got hurt last year, and everyone, just for whatever reason, didn't believe the hype. And here we are. Guy can hit. Let him hit. Let him do his thing. And here we are. Like, Taylor Ward belongs exactly nowhere in that lineup right now. Like,
Correct,
cool,
yeah.
He had a good month and a half. Like, let's move on. Right? Colby Rasmus once had a good month and a half too. So
I got Rasmus on your mind now. Exciting.
I know.
Exciting.
Back-to-back segments he's in. But yeah, I mean, this is I've read a couple things already this week that the hype is overdone, and it's going to trail off. And I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum over the years. Like, rookies are always going to get fastballs. They're always going to have a little bit of a bump. But I do believe what makes Moniak a little bit different is there's a bit of an oppo stroke here. And I think that's going to play a little bit better than the traditional power guy that does. So realistically, there's going to be a dip at some point. We've talked about this, whether it's in season or second season, it's always going to be a reality. But I do believe this hitter is here to stay. And if he stays at the top, Robbie, I mean, value's through the ceiling in that lineup. Doesn't mean they're going to win games, because they still got to somehow get between 5 innings and 8 innings. But I do believe there's some huge value here. Power and runs for sure. RBIs maybe, if your boy Neto can keep the slate going. But I like this play a lot in every format right now.
Yeah, and I mean, they do have the greatest professional baseball player right now in
Hunter Renfroe.
Nope. But he has been good in that Ohtani fellow. But yeah, when you've got Neto at 9, and his line for the game last night was 3 at bats, 2 runs, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and he's now got his average up to 266, 744 OPS, and he did have his 3rd dinger, of course, last night. And who did he get a dinger with? Ohtani. Why not, right? So the only thing he has going against him is how difficult it could be for him to get RBIs. However, guys like Rengifo should not be as bad as they have been. It's going to be the catching situation, the number 8 guy. So the 6 of Urshela batting 299 helps. Drury's going to be back and forth. So it's really the 7, 8 guys not getting out for his RBI opportunities.
And the reality too is that we're probably going to see David Fletcher back in that Rengifo spot at some point. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it's going to happen at some point.
Contractually, it's got to happen, because the Angels don't want to throw more money away with the history they have of throwing. I'm sure they're still paying. Is it Billy Hamilton? No, not Billy Hamilton. Josh Hamilton. Knew it started with an S.
Or CJ Wilson. One of those two is getting paid. So.
There's several players. And then they traded, what was it? They traded money away to the Giants, right? They traded Zach Cozart. Anyway, we're going back too far. And because we are old school, we're not overly active, but we would be happy to help you any way we can on Twitter. You can find us at Dingers Pod. You can find Ty at Tourney Boss, myself at Robbie Baseball 1, numerical 1. Ty, we are talking K's. We're talking quality starts. We're talking wins, losses, walks, all the fun stuff. The leaderboard, I'll very quickly just rumble through so people get an idea. If we're not talking about the players you're interested in, go ahead and hit us up on the Twitter and say, what's the deal with this guy? And we'd be happy to talk about him on the next podcast. But strikeout leaders right now in MLB, Spencer Strider. Well, Ty, I guess we talked a little bit down on him in the offseason, saying that we didn't know how well he was going to be able to repeat. So far, so good. Strider, 97 Ks, and a big-time leader over the number 2 guy, Kevin Gausman, with Los Blue Jays, who has 81. Ohtani has 80. Mitch Keller. What? Mitch Keller of the Pirates at 77. I remember when I liked Mitch Keller and nobody else did, and then I had to stop liking Mitch Keller, and then this happened. You know, I mean, good for him. Anyway, Zach Gallen with Arizona is 75. That's the number 5 guy in MLB. Save hold leaders. I just combine them because we talked a lot about this before. Formats should have both. It gives a bigger player pool to draw from. Anyway, Emmanuel Class with Cleveland has 16. Carlos Estevez, shockingly, with the Angels at 14.
Emilio.
Yeah. Yainer Cano with Baltimore at 13. Camilo Doval with the Giants at 13. And again, another shocker here. Carl Finnegan with the Nationals, 13. This is save holds again, just to refresh everybody's memory here. But Ty, do you want to talk about the inning pitched leaderboard?
Well, really quick, I just want to touch on the save hold thing. I do want to say this, like Cano's been unreal.
Mhm.
I do think he could be the kind of guy the wheels fall off though. So like
Definitely.
for me, that's that. I don't know if it's, I haven't went far enough down in the notes, Robbie, but I don't believe he's in the buy sell category.
No.
But I would be selling. I have him. I'm going to try and trade him to you at some point and replace him with somebody that can do something similar while he fails on your roster. And I don't know that. I just, we got to keep in mind he's not pitched, the level of innings he's going to be asked to pitch in a while. He really still is relatively a 2-pitch pitcher, right? So, that we've talked about that before, and that was the reason we were off Strider just a little bit. I'm still not ready. Like, Strider's been awesome. I'm still not ready to say there's not a bump here somewhere. I'm still feel like it's coming. But good for him. Yeah, you'd love to see it with the amount of effort he's put into those quads. You'd hate for him to waste it. I don't know if you've seen those quads. Those things are dump trucks. But anyway, moving on. Innings pitch leader. I love this list, Robbie. This is probably my favorite thing about baseball is good starting pitching in depth. I think the leader on this list is a shock to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Except for Nate Eovaldi, who always knew he could do it. And guess what? 69 innings. Nice. Right there. So you like to see it. I mean, I think anybody that's a fan of baseball in general has some level of appreciation for Nate Eovaldi because you've watched it and you've seen what it could be, and it's just never been right. And I think that's an infuriating thing. So good for him going to Texas and having some great success. Garrett Cole, like maybe the best start in Major League history, possibly. I don't know that for sure, but he had a absolutely elite start with only half a game of a bad outing. Nola is just doing Nola things, punching innings, punching tickets. He'll have some games where he gives up 9 runs here at some point. That's just what he does. And then Gallen. I mean, Gallen we've seen heading this direction for a while. He's the leader up in the leaderboard on strikeouts. He's fun to watch. What I do like about Gallen over the rest of the guys on this list, he's probably the most pitcher of the group, right? The other guys are a little bit throwers, and they're elite throwers, right?
Yep.
But Gallen's a pitcher. He's got 4 or 5 pitches. The curveball's fun to watch. There's only a handful of really good curveballs left. He's got one of them. The next guy on the list, Valdez, also has a good one. Fromber, who, this is nice to see him in this category. He's battled some injuries over his career, not huge ones, but having him up on this list is a big part of what's going to keep Houston at the top. So I do like this list. It's just nice and clean.
Yeah, I've got a few MILBers to note here. One is Randy Vasquez with the Yankees, who's about to come up. He's taking over for what's his nuts that was hot out the gate. His first start of the year was his best one. The Yankees tried working with him, and it just wasn't happening. They even did the opener thing. I'm just delaying while I look it up because I've got him in
I
several
drafted
spots.
him in our one, or I picked him up in the
You
waiver
did.
wire.
He was your number
And then
one waiver wire guy.
immediately traded him, which was savvy.
Yeah, Juan Brito. There we go.
That's the
So
one.
this is one of the guys who got put on the 40-man in the offseason. Everyone was like, oh, he didn't have that great of a season at AAA. Anyway, injuries happened in spring training. He came up. Well, he's being replaced now, it looks like permanently. And then this is the first guy who's got an opportunity. Randy Vasquez, and 42 innings pitched at AAA this year. He's got 50 Ks, which is nice. A 1.5 whip, not ideal. 4.85 ERA. Yikes. Cold weather, where he was been pitching early this year. So we don't know what the last, 2-3 starts have been for him, but this is an absolute filler. This is not somebody who's like elite. I've got him in one dynasty league. I know Roto Ronnie's got him in another, because once I found out he was starting this week, I looked it up and I was like, I might be interested in points leagues. And then Roto Ronnie happens to have him in a points league that he and I are in together. So I know I can't acquire him because he's still pissed last year that I traded Bryce Harper. I traded him for Bryce Harper, then immediately flipped him for Frankie Montas. And Ty, you know how my Montas stuff works out. Real great. So anyway, Vasquez will be up. Andrew Abbott with Cincinnati's kind of an interesting guy. I don't know if you looked into him at all, Ty.
Yep.
He's only 5% rostered on Yahoo, 34 on Fantrax. That's, of course, because he was a second-round pick in 2021. But tell the people what they need to know.
He's been good. The one thing I'm a little concerned with is pitching into the righties, right? So I think kind of the opposite of what we've seen from Jose Barrios this year. I think he can do it. I'm concerned the fastball's a little flat to get in on the righties, which is going to hurt his ability to get pros out with his off speed. So, up and away, and he's got a bit of a backdoor cutter. I think there's enough here to warrant some buy for sure. And we've talked about this, Robbie. I think you and I are probably maybe the leaders in this clubhouse. Like, Cincinnati's about to get real good. They're going to be very, very good. And Abbott's definitely going to be a part of that. So I think, that's the best part here, is that your risk is a little bit limited if you go and get him, because he's going to be Steve Avery, but with a little bit more gas, and for those of you that are like, who's Steve Avery? Yeah, it was SP5 on those great Atlanta teams back in the day in the 90s. So
wow, okay. I was trying to think, like, who the hell are you talking about? I'm like, Sean Avery is the only guy coming up who was like an NHL a-hole.
There's lots
SP5.
of stuff here. But for me, like the keyhole here is whether he can get the fastball in on the righties. Like, that is the one thing. Everything else plays. That's just the one thing that I'm going to be concerned with until he proves me otherwise. It looks like he can spot it up, but again, at the major league level, you got to get by them. That's the issue. So it's not always as easy as that. So I like it. I like what I'm seeing. The one guy I want to throw onto this list, Robbie, that you don't have.
Yeah. Throw some more names. I got a couple more too that I didn't list here just to discuss.
Yeah. Jackson Rutledge, former first-round pick in 2019 from the Nationals, kind of disappeared. His career minor league numbers aren't great. But he's kind of finally turned that corner. The career numbers across multiple levels, Robbie, I'll just read the ERA just to give you a bit of a glimpse. 2 seasons at rookie, 11.57 ERA, low A, 3.0, high A, 4.5. This was when they had low and medium and high. Sorry, I'll go back here. Just at regular A, 4.48, at high A, 12.66. And then he's made the jump heading into this season. He's got a 2.72 going, Robbie, with a 1.1 whip. The K per 9 is climbing. It's not quite at his career average. So I like the fact that he's getting people out in multiple ways at this point, because I think the strikeout numbers will come back. But I do think this is a buy low candidate. I think a guy that a lot of people got a little shy on. And if you wait too much longer, the value is going to go back up. They're going to be, oh, this guy's a first round pick. He finally figured it out. Especially with Cade Cavalli kind of going off the rails a little bit. There definitely is room for him to punch through the ceiling here.
Yeah, you've got Slade Ciccione. I'm not going to say that right. Sorry. But you've got him, and that's kind of it. Jake Irwin's getting a good shot right now because he had really good numbers in the minors with the Nationals. But this isn't when they're, building up and getting ready. This is pre, right? So he's part of the plan when you're ready to move forward. Brendan Williamson with the Reds is another guy. He was highly touted, had a very bad 2022, and a lot of people just jumped ship. But he's up in the show now, and I'm hoping he's going to get the treatment of, oh, I kind of remember that guy, but then nobody like regenerates the hype around it. And as we've been learning, a lot of fantasy analysts who focus on redraft, of course, the last 3-4 years, NFBC has been taking over most of the podcast airwaves because everybody thinks it's hip and cool. Pay $2,500 to be in one league, and somebody's arm breaks and you're pooched. But anyway, I mean, that's the fun and thrill and terror of dynasty baseball. But when you get a little deeper, you realize that a lot of these analysts aren't looking at AA, AAA guys coming up. They're looking at top 100 type lists, and some of them are making their own with not a lot of research behind it. So you see Brandon Williamson pop up everywhere, and everyone's excited about him. Then he has a bad year, off lists. Everybody forgot, right? Nobody cares. I think he could stay under the radar here, Ty. In an NFBC league specifically, our surf league, I got him for $45 last week. He had a 2-start week this week, and I'm hoping he's going to stick in the rotation. And he should be somebody who settles in over the course of the summer, assuming this is the plan for the Reds, right? You're up now. You're going to stay up with us. This is the plan. I would love to see it. I hope it happens. While I was just looking here, I think I came across, I'm going to need a moment here to do a bit deeper of a dive. If you've got another pitcher lined
I
up
do.
here.
I will
I think I
go.
found
Just a guy that Robbie, I've been in on for a long time, and is a super buy low right now with Major League upside. Is Adrian Morejon with the Padres? He just started his rehab on Tuesday. This is a guy that was a big signing out of Cuba. The what I like here, Robbie, is that there's room for him in San Diego's rotation. Like his competition as he comes back from this injury is Ryan Weathers and Cole Hamels. So, there's room for him to finally break through into that rotation, which he's not really been able to do up until this point. So I do like him as a super buy low because whatever poor soul is holding on to him, it would likely be willing to move on from him. So I think that's just something that I'm going to be looking at in leagues that I don't already own him, Robbie, because as you know, I absolutely do own him in a lot of spots. So that's just one that I'm going to look at. I'm trying to find really quickly here while you're finishing your research.
I got my boy. I'm ready.
Just to see if I can find what he did in his outing. A sparkling 1/3 of an inning with 0 hits and 2 walks. So a little bit of work left. That was his first outing coming off injury. So give him some time to ramp back up. But definitely a buy low, and you definitely should do it now before he ends up on a Yahoo or ESPN article or whatever website you find your top level stuff. So now's the time to buy a guy like this.
Yeah, until someone that listens to us and writes for one of the sites says, "Hey, let me have a little bit more of a dive on this guy," and all of a sudden he's there. And here's the next name that we're hopefully going to be able to hear about. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to be a starting pitcher, but if you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers rotation, they might be willing to do what Tampa Bay did a few years ago, where they have like the 2-3 inning type guys, the guys who open, but they don't open for the first 4 guys in the lineup. They might go through the rotation once. Anyway, I'm throwing a name out there. If you are in severe pitching trouble in your dynasty leagues and you can pick up anybody at any point in time, Brian Hudson. Yeah, that's right. Sounds like he should be one of the guys in Fast 10 who's, stealing cars and launching rockets. It just sounds like, and if you look at his picture on MILB.com, it looks like he's very excited. Interesting. Anyway, he's AAA. He's part of the Dodgers farm system now, but he's had 2 starts this year. He's 6'8", Ty, 220. So that's a thin 6'8" guy, a lefty to boot. And in 21 1/3 innings pitched this year, he has 37 strikeouts, 147 batting average against, a whip of 1.03. I'm loving what I'm seeing. And if you go kind of like, well, what did he do last year? He, was more of an average type guy, but the strikeouts were 59 innings, 76 strikeouts. So he's improved. He's 26 years old. He's not a young guy. He was a 3rd round pick in 2015 of the Cubs, was like buried with the Cubs. I'm trying to see how high up he got within that org. I think he could have been one of those guys affected negatively by the COVID 2020 no season, because he finished 19 at high A and then didn't have 2020 to play. So he missed that full year, came back, went to double A and had to adjust. So anywho, we're kind of like that slow build forgotten guy. He's rostered in 0 Yahoo, which doesn't surprise me, 0 Fantrax, which does surprise me. So even in the deepest of your 30 team leagues, he's going to be available, and he's striking everybody out at AAA right now. And we know the Dodgers are willing to bring these guys in who nobody cares about, but they have this thing they do. So Bryan Hudson, Bryan Hudson. I'm not saying he's going to be up imminently. Obviously, he's not on the 40 man, but this is the deep dive type guy that I really like to sink my teeth into, because he costs you nothing. And as long as you keep open roster spot a couple weeks, if you like what he's doing, maybe do your own little deep dive on him. He could be worthwhile. The only other guy that I wanted to mention, Ty, was this is like future ace of the Giants, and he is just raking Kyle Harrison. 30 innings pitched, 56 Ks at AAA. I'm not a big fan of 1.47 whip. I'm not a big fan of a 4.11 ERA, but we've seen enough guys doing the opposite. Cody Bradford is an example we talked about a month ago, 0.99 ERA, 42 strikeouts and 45 in the third innings. What happened when he came up with this? Lit. Not ideal for him. But Bradford is on the other end of this. Kyle Harrison is the groomed stud, whereas Bradford's like the guy who we're hoping, could be better. And if Texas brings it back up, I'm sure he would be. But anyway, Kyle Harrison is crushing this year.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's one to be very, very excited about. A guy, Robbie, that I'm going to tip my hat to you on, because you were on this guy briefly in the past, and that's Matt Crook, who is
with the Yankees.
Is just cruising at AAA. And in a very, very, very big way. He's got 34 strikeouts in 17 innings. We are going to see him in Yankee land very soon. They need a lefty.
He's on the 40 man, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to happen in the very, very near future. So do not be shy on that one, because it's going to be coming around here any minute. So yeah, that's one that I would point you to if you're looking to fill a spot. I think there's other guys that you can definitely chase down, but I really, really like him in a lot of formats. And at the end of the day, that K rate as a lefty.
Crook is on the 40 man, Ty.
Yeah, it's just it's elite level stuff there, right?
Yep, 6'4" lefty, 225. He's 28 years old, and again, somebody who I thought had a shot at starting last year. Now he's going to be coming at you from the bullpen. It could be very difficult in the late innings against the Yankees yet again. So 28 minutes in, Ty, we have yet to hit the main topic, but we're at least talking pitching. I wanted to throw out 5 pitchers that I like despite the stats. I don't want to get into the deep dive with them. I just want people to understand there's a little bit, of light at the end of the tunnel. JP Sears is the one. He's on a 10-win Oakland team right now. It's hard to do anything, but he's getting quality starts and he's keeping his team in the game. He's also not crushing you in fantasy. But again, you're going to struggle all year with the wins. Josiah Gray with Washington, same situation. We want to see him continue to progress better and better. If you want to say, I'm not sure about him, well, let's just say, remember Mitch Keller when he sucked. Sometimes it takes a while. Your team needs to be good enough to allow you to make mistakes and still stay in a game. James Caprillion, again, with Oakland. It's always easy to study the crappy teams, right? You can find a lot of potential within them. He sucked, got demoted, and then turned it around. Obviously made a change in something, delivery, whatever he was throwing, the pitch mix, I'm assuming, came back up, and he's looking better now. I think he had a 7-inning start upon his return. He's 2 or 3 starts in since he's been back. I think he's going to stick. Talk about great reason not to go crazy with the like Japanese imports with Fujinami. I know a lot of guys took him in the first round. Hey, Rotorani, and that is not working out well for a lot of the people that dumped in early. But James Caprillion, who's been kicking around for a long time, there's some positives that could come from him. And the stat line looks so ugly, you can acquire him and trade for any reasonable offer. Ranger Suarez coming back with the Phillies. This is a long play. Again, I talked about him last year. We was using the term thoroughbred. They want to be cautious with him. Again, if he's always injured, you got to, you need players who are healthy. But if he can get a good run in here, I like Ranger Suarez to continue to improve. And then Tyler Wells, who, his stat line's fine, but again, we're not going to talk about him later on. And I wanted everyone to remember that I really liked him a year ago. I just thought that was important for me to say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so let's get into our main topic here, Robbie. Let's talk buy, sell, hold. So I'm going to lead you into this one because I'm shocked that we started with a reliever. So I'll
For
toss
fun
this
and
one in
game's
here.
sake.
And the first one on the list here is Michael Kopech. You buying, selling, or holding?
I think the buy is going to be, it's like now or it will not happen. Reason being, after a rocky April, he's ended May hot, 15 scoreless innings, allowing only 3 hits over that. The ugly 4.24 ERA for the year isn't reading true because in May he was 270. 60 innings pitched, 60 Ks, 57 innings pitched, 4 quality starts, 3 of those in the last month. It's all going to make him valuable as the year goes on. So if you are like, I'm not sure about him, I bet you whoever has him, including myself in some leagues, I wasn't too sure of him. So I'm going to make you pay me fair value. It's not a steal, but I think it's worthwhile knowing the upside of Kopech. And again, we don't know what in the heck's going on with the White Sox, right? We thought this was a powerhouse team, Ty. Like they have been anything but. So if they can improve as, let's say, as the weather warms up, whatever excuse we want to try to say is the reason why they haven't been good, Kopech might just be getting hot at the right time. And I think he's worthwhile to buy.
Yeah, I would say it's a buy depending on the value, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to go and buy across the board, but if I've got somebody that wants to get rid of him, just ready to move on, then I'm certainly going to listen. I do
Right.
think there's an angle
He's
there.
hot. Now's the time they want to, make the deal, right? Now's max return, they think, out of Kopech because the value was really down a month ago.
Yeah.
So here
but
he is. He's
if they're
playing well. I'm going to trade him. Yep.
yeah, if they're playing his value up to be what it was when he was traded for Chris Sale, I'm not
Right.
listening. That's just silly. So
Yeah, you
that's
wouldn't
that's where I
trade a
was.
Mickey Moniak. That's what you're saying, right?
Exactly. I would not. Moving on, next on the list here, Marcus Stroman, Robbie. Where are you at with him? So far, leading Major League Baseball with 9 quality starts. ERA's under 3 at 2.95, 64 inning pitch. So just off our leaderboard from the front of the episode here. 54 Ks, which is right about in line with where Stroman wants to be, and 4 wins on a reasonably okay Chicago lineup there in the NL Central.
Yeah, I'm going to buy Stroman for Dynasty. And the second reason I'm going to do it is because he's going to be with the Cubbies for several years. So I'm not looking at it as exactly what I've seen this year is what I'm going to get. I think whoever's had him that I would potentially be trading him from is going to be very happy with the production they've got. He is overproduced, which means regression is coming. But I'm going to buy Stroman now, knowing that I have him for years to come as a Cub, not the what's he going to do, the thing with the Mets, during the COVID season sitting out. And then last year, I don't like the attention that he draws to himself through some of his actions, but he backs it up.
Yeah.
And I mean, we live in a day and age where athletes are made to be stars from the time they're very young. Stroman really feeds into that. He loves that attention. And if he's having a moment, which is only going to last until the All-Star game, in which he's probably going to be there if he can continue to do what he's been doing, there'll be a fade in the second half. But again, we talked about him in the offseason as like your prototypical kind of SP2, SP3 guy. That's where he can live. And right now he's doing SP1 type stuff, not ace, but like a top 30 guy. And when he dials it back a little bit, I would like him to still be on my roster at that point in time. But I'm not thinking we're going to see 25 quality starts this year. That's not reasonable. In 11 starts, he's had 9 quality. It's going to go down. But maybe it's a good fit for him in Chicago. Maybe every time he goes out in public, 19 people tell him they love him and 1 says they hate him. And he's cool with that, right? Like the hate's enough to feed him, but he really enjoys that love. And this could go on, for throughout his tenure. So where are you on Stroman?
I'm in the hold category, definitely for me. And part of the reason is like I bought into him. He's a guy that we talked about in the offseason, Robbie, as a guy to target because of the improved defense in Chicago. He's one of the more predictable starting pitchers in terms of value in baseball. When he has a good defense, he magically plays well. When he doesn't, he's bad. Imagine that for a ground ball guy. What is interesting, Robbie, to me is that career highs were set early on in Toronto, 64.1% ground ball rate, which is very, very high. It dipped in and around the pandemic as low as 52%, but it's back up this year, Robbie, to 59%. So I'm very interested in that. I do think that's a relevant stat for Marcus Stroman. When he's pitching his best, he's getting balls down in the zone and balls on the ground. And with good defense, he's getting people out. So
yeah, I was gonna say
like I said,
Dansby can get it, right? Dansby can pick him at short. He can throw it over to whoever the hell they're gonna put over there. Hey, remember when Matt Mervis was gonna be a thing? Good times. Anyway, yeah. I totally get what you're saying. And I forgot about that we talked about his ability, his stat line improves when his defense allows him to do that, which
it's
doesn't sound
very,
right that Lindor couldn't do it, but you know.
Yeah, but it was just Lindor. That was the problem, right? He was the only guy that knew about the word defense. So yeah, it's unfortunate. So and during that time, while he remembered defense, he was also trying to remember offense. So
right.
You know, a little bit of a defect there. But next on the list here, Robbie, Max Scherzer. This is a really fun one. 33 innings so far, 4.0 1 ERA, 31 Ks, so below K per 9. 2 quality starts. He's had a few weeks on the IL. Where are you at here, Robbie?
Oh, what an uneasy player Scherzer is for dynasty guys out there. I will say he's got 2 this season and another minimum left on that contract, right? It was a 3-year. Or wait, sorry. He's got this year and 2 years left. He signed a 3-year deal, I think. Is that right?
He came
He's
in
got
last
one
year.
more. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Anyway, point being, we're talking 50 potential starts of Scherzer as an MLBer because we don't know what's going to happen beyond it. But he's not going in the Verlander route of he can be healthy for years on end. Mind you, yes, Verlander has missed time this year. I'm concerned with Scherzer. I don't think I would pay what someone that has him is going to want, which is your best pitching prospect plus, and then the plus is going to be the struggle. So I don't think I'm buying. I think I'm going to sell if I have them and the right deal comes along, right? Their best pitching prospect and whatever my team needs, I would sell Scherzer versus hold or buy, simply because if the wheels fall off here, you're getting nothing from a guy who if you acquired him through trade, you paid a lot more for. So I'm on the sell side of it. I do have him in one contracts league. And if the right offer came along, I don't know that I'd take it today, but I would certainly make sure I'm talking to that guy and saying, I want to feel this out, a little bit more. Because if Scherzer's not right, his value's gone anyway. So you're still going to get something for him in the offseason, even if you want to hold the whole year.
I mean, for me, this is purely circumstantial as a buy. But if I'm competing, I'm buying. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of guys that you can trust to step up in the bigger games more than Max Scherzer. Like, there's only
if I offered you Kyle Harrison for Max Scherzer, you're going to say, or sorry, if you offered me Kyle Harrison for Max Scherzer, I would say, okay, let's throw in whatever the other little piece is that's kind of minor. Are you going to make that trade?
Not in Dynasty. No, in Dynasty,
that's you're not going to trade me your Harrison for Scherzer, though.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. I'm trying to get a feel of where it would be.
I wouldn't go ace, but if there's I don't know, like an Andrew Abbott, like that would maybe plus that package would make sense. But I think when you're talking elite ace, like the Andrew Painters and the Yuri Perez, like you're absolutely not giving those guys up for a Max Scherzer at this stage in his career.
Mick Abel, you would not. McGriff, both Philly guys. You wouldn't do any of those 3 Philly guys.
And if you see somebody doing that in your league, you should already start to find a replacement for him because he is quitting. So
he's selling the farm to win this year.
Yeah, that's a reality. So
that's a good way to look at it. Somebody who starts to make unreasonable trades for old guys is clearly leaving your league.
That's it, exactly. So at the end of the day, like Scherzer's still the guy, right? Like I want to have him in a couple of leagues where I'm competing. If I can find him, I would go in on him. And the reality is, like, he's going to get better as it gets warmer because he's going to sweat. It's going to be stickier. He'll be able to spin the ball better again. So, that'll be great.
I forgot about that. That was part of the Scherzer thing, was he had a 10-day suspension, right? He missed 2 starts.
Exactly why I want him. He's on the cheater list. Put him on the roster.
Oh my God. Now it makes sense why you like him. Now it makes sense why you're into. Okay, so let me flip the script for you, and I'll feed you the next couple guys here because I enjoyed that, so I'm sure you will too. Grayson Rodriguez,
Bye.
the number one starting pitcher prospect, who is 8 innings away from losing his rookie eligibility. 42 innings pitched this year, 50 Ks, 6.21 ERA. Yikes! 0 quality start.
So
Yikes! 2
so it's a
wins,
little bit
1
different.
loss. I think. Tell
A
me why
little
you
bit,
want him, Ty. You said bye.
yeah, a little bit different than what we just talked about on the guy in your league. If somebody doesn't want to buy Grayson Rodriguez, you need to kick him out. He just needs to go. He's not good for your league. So
Oh,
this is a
okay.
buy across the board in every format. The team
Okay.
around him's getting very good. He's getting better, right? And you have to watch. Like, you can't make these assessments if you're just looking at stats. Like, if you want to figure out young pitching and you're not watching at least some of his outings, then don't even bother trying to have this conversation and pretend that you're an expert, because you have to see what happens inside of the game to understand whether pitchers are going to break through. And Grayson's going to break through. His stuff plays. It's good enough. It needs a little bit of refinement. He's going to do it at the major league level. He might have some rough outings, but guess what? Baltimore scores a lot. So it's still going to have some value. And you should never, ever take this guy off your roster. So it's an absolute buy for me, Robbie. Are you in the same court, or are you looking elsewhere on this one?
Oh, 100%. I want to buy him now because it does not look good. I want the 0 quality starts to kind of continue. Basically, and we've talked about this before. I use the name because it worked out well for me, so I'm going to keep going back to it. This is a Giolito rookie season here.
Yeah.
He was not at all good with the White Sox, but he was hyped. And as he was falling out of favor with everybody because he kept pitching, and the ERA, I think Giolito's ERA was higher than 6.21 when his rookie season finished, like north of 130 innings. And that's where Giolito finished. Then he came back next year and really settled in. I'm okay with this. Much like you just said, the team around him is building. And you made a really good point, Ty. You said if you're not willing to watch young starting pitching, you're not going to make sense of this because you're just looking at the stat lines. This is just a plug for MLB.com's app. Every day they offer a free game, so you don't need to pay any pennies, any cents for this. If you have Apple TV, one day it's on Apple TV, which obviously that's paid, but you can get like a 90-day subscription to that. But the app itself offers you a free baseball game. I'm just trying to figure out what the Saturday game is right now. Not that I'm going to get to watch it because I get to work a 12-hour day. How exciting. But anyway, every day there's a free way you can actually watch MLB baseball, and you can check it out and listen to what I've talked about this before, but it was a while ago. I like to watch my Mariners play, but I don't listen to the Mariners broadcasters. I listen to the other team's broadcasters and listen to what they say about their players, who are always getting pumped, hyped up, and what they say about the Mariner players. Because if they're ringing things true that I think, are true, well, that's a double. Like if they're like, oh, this, great play, like, last year with Mitch Haniger, he's struggling this year. There's that going on. Yeah, no, I think he's struggling too. And then you see the opposite side. This young player is very good and they see promise. And, then you get the like intelligent broadcasters who can talk about the swing dynamics or the way in which they set up on defense and some of that inside baseball stuff that if you're going to be good at fantasy, if you're going to be good at dynasty, you can pick up on it. So like the Luis Patino struggles as a Tampa Bay Ray to get sent down, and then possibly, like, we're not really sure when we're going to see him back, versus the Rosemary Contreras, who we'll be talking about shortly, and the Grayson Rodriguez stat lines. How can you justify which one of those 3 pitchers to go to? Well, you got to watch them. You got to have eyes to have a better understanding. Like, are you personally frightened by the way one guy throws the ball? Okay. Like, then you're justified in making that call, but you can't just like, oh, I look at the stat line. Yeah, I don't like that. Because that's how you end up
Or
just acquiring streamers.
or you just listen to us and we'll tell you.
Well,
That's the other way.
there you go.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
probably
naturally.
faster.
Yeah, way faster.
Through the MLB.com app. They're
Yeah,
not paying us.
yeah, exactly. So next on the list here, Eric Lauer in Milwaukee. This for me is a really, sell for anything. If you get parts, great. If you don't, drop them. I think this is where he's at. We've talked about Milwaukee's pitching depth for a while here, Robbie. Now, I will say this. At the end of the season, I'm assuming at least one of their top pitchers is gone, whether it's by trade, or they just pack up and leave because they got
Burns or
pissed off at
Woodruff, you're talking?
arbitration.
One of
Yeah,
those 2?
I don't see
Or
how they.
Peralta even?
Yeah, and if you look back in their track record, like I just don't
Yeah,
know how,
they don't spend
unless
the
all of a
money.
sudden, yeah, not unless they turn into San Diego's ownership group all of a sudden, which I won't rule out, to be fair. But let's just say that that doesn't happen. I mean, I just don't see with that offense how they move forward with the pitching the way it is. So I think they're going to have to make a move for something, and I think they will. So Lauer could be relevant in the long term here, Robbie, at some level. But there's also the complete risk where he could be useless. So we'll leave that one there. We'll move on. We'll send you Brady Singer because why not? Go for it, Robbie. So far, he's got 49 innings pitched, 3-4, three. I'm gonna say that's 30 Ks and not 3 Ks.
Oh, let me
Uh,
double check. Sorry.
and
It's
7.48 ERA, which is wolf levels. I mean, pretty much what Kansas City's trying to accomplish is get themselves into that Dylan Cruz race, if you will,
right,
and
which
three
nobody's
quality
beating
starts.
Oakland this year.
No,
No
Oakland
one's
is the
gonna compete with
leader.
Oakland on that.
I mean, what a turn of event for Dylan Cruz, though. Like heading into the season, being like, "I'm gonna have to play in Oakland," and now he's like, "I'm gonna have to play in Vegas. This is
I'm
the
going to
way."
Vegas, baby. Going to
Yeah, let's
Vegas.
do
I'm
this.
renting it in San Francisco, getting Ubered over to Oakland for my games, and then I'm gonna buy property and build in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brady Singer, back to the actual topic. I am holding Brady Singer, and I have acquired him this season, but that was very early in the year. I do not want to get rid of this right now because he has got 3 quality starts, which means if we just say we're a third of the way through the year, he's lined up to just continue to say 9. Let's call it 10. He has a hot couple weeks, but the ERA is obviously concerning. The K to 9, Brady Singer gets hot. He has pitches that work some nights, and when he has pitches that work, he'll have a double K night, and other nights he'll have 3 over 6 innings if he's hitting it. But it's the blowups that are concerning to me because he should probably be 12, 13 innings pitched higher, and he hasn't been able to do that right now. But he's battled 3 wins, 4 losses, and I think Casey's at the point where he's just going to be out there. Right, the results aren't horrible, mind you, they're not good. 7.48 ERA is not something you want, but Singer's going to battle through. Now, I'm not looking for Singer to win my league. I'm looking for him to improve as the season continues, and he's at the point for me now in Dynasty where I am streaming him. So I'm going to look at the matchup and I'm going to wonder how has he done, and if I have enough time in my life, which honestly has not been regularly occurring for me lately, I will look at who he's pitching against and what are the ERAs that those guys, what are the averages that those guys have against him, which I got to say, if you actually dive in, that is so time consuming. Holy crap. Figuring that stuff out.
Also on MLB.com, though. I don't know if you know that or not.
What do you mean?
In the game preview, if you go and look on the game preview for the night,
If they've stayed starter for like Friday, Saturday, on Tuesday, you can look at that.
Well, as soon as when the lineup
career
set,
versus is that what?
yeah,
Okay,
career
so
versus the opponent. Yeah, it's in
so that's daily lineup league. Yeah, okay. So in daily lineup league for sure, that's easier to do if you are trying to get ahead for like some of your league, like some of my leagues, I should say, are Monday through Thursday is locked in, and then Friday through Sunday is locked in. So when I get a crazy week at work or like you have a family or whatever, that's harder to do. But I like the fact that MLB app should sponsor us.
They should. Yeah, we've hyped them a lot tonight. So I agree with that. And if they can bring a bourbon sponsor with them, that would be appreciated. But we'll go on here.
Or some Coors.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, where I sit on this one, Robbie, it's an obvious sell. It always has been. It always will be.
Yeah, you're out on Singer.
Yeah. So next on the list here is Dylan Cease. This is an interesting one, Robbie. 58 innings, 60 Ks. So he just got that K per 9 back above the bubble for
Great
the defending
recently.
AL strikeout leader. 3-3, 5 quality starts. So what's interesting here, Robbie, is that he's about 50-50 on his starts, right? Like 5 of them have been great, 5 of them kind of really terrible or horrible, as Chuck would say. Charles Barkley, for those of you that were unsure about
Herbert.
Yeah. And basically, like, I'm here, Robbie. I'm going to be buying on Cease wherever I can. The K's are gonna come around. Similar to what we've talked about for some of the northern teams. Like, it's been cold up north, right? For a good portion of the home games in the start of this season. So, I don't know if that's exactly everything for C's, because I'll be honest, that's not a stat I look up, like game time temperature. I just don't care to look that far. Maybe that's stupid on my part, but I
No,
also
that's
have.
DFS stuff, Ty. That's if you're daily lineups, if you're a gambling addict, if you love getting into the minutia, you look at that stuff. And if you're a podcaster who's like amazing at your DFS and whatever, you're recording that and you're telling your audience. We're long-term dynasty here. We're looking over the course of 32 starts.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
we're not following all that kind of stuff. But last year, by contrast to this year's 4.60 ERA, last year was 2.20 end of season, 184 innings, 227 Ks, 14 and 8 record, and 16 quality starts. So actually, quality starts are still right around where he could finish this year.
Well,
So
and
it's a
the
hot
thing I'm
streak
gonna look.
away, right?
Yeah, and the thing I'm going to look up really quickly, Robbie, while we're sitting here, I'm just going to look at the April splits, just career wise. I'm curious to see what his starts are, because I'll be honest, this is the very first year I've ever owned Dylan Cease, and it's just like literally the worst feeling in the world to have spent effort and energy on him at this point. Even though some of them have been good, it's just terrifying every time you roll them out. You just don't know. It's like a bag of bits and bytes. You just don't know what you're going to get.
In our home league, Ty, who just changed their team name to 18 wheeler off a cliff?
That's Trev.
Is it Trev? Jeez, he's
Yeah.
5-2.
Oh, look at his offense. You'll understand why.
Oh my goodness.
It's Anthony Rizzo and Jose Ramirez on an island.
Yeah, he's made some bad trades recently. But the reason why is that I'm gonna make an offer, because typically whoever's had Cease, the team name is Cease and Desist or something Cease like.
Yep.
I think I might look to make a deal here, just for fun, right? Yeah, I mean, why not? It's fantasy baseball. It's got to be fun. So while we continue on here, are you looking at road splits, or do you want me to head on down to Pittsburgh
No,
with
so
the next guy?
I wasn't looking road splits, but I was looking ERA, April, March, May. May, funny enough, career high, or is the highest, 403. Oh, sorry, July's there at 408. So we're right in there. But the rest of the months are solid. So it's really not that abnormal for the career marks. It's a little high, but not like abnormally high. The K rates are down. So this is one that you definitely got to be looking for the buy. There's definitely going to be some regression to the mean in a positive way. And that's definitely something to look towards, even though career mark, the numbers are poorer on the road, Robbie, which is somewhat to be expected for the most part. I just wanted to toss that one in there. And then just want to see if there's a first half, second half break before I finish that off. Why is there not a first half?
Everybody's happy to wait. In the meantime, I'll just let everyone know that Alec Boehm's season, in 182 at bats so far, he's got 22 runs, 5 home runs, not ideal, 35 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 264 average, and a 710 OPS, which is not great. He was really hot in April, and I was talking about how it was very exciting. Man, has he cooled off. 229 the last month, a 602 OPS. And if it wasn't for the home run that he got today, which will be registered on that OPS bump up tomorrow, Alec Boehm has been very disappointing in your non-roto, because you're going to count a lot more weight into that April that he had. And I don't know. I would definitely think we're not doing the buy sell on the hitters. Just going to add him in as maybe a sell.
I would agree. All
right, Ty, update us on the splits.
It's pretty flat, to be honest. It's a little bit worse in the second half. The slug's up a little bit in the second half. The on-base percentage is up a little bit in the second half. So nothing overly alarming. I don't think there's anything that you can take from that to say this is anything but a buy, because he's way above what his career norms. Like even Dylan Cease at a 3.1. Like even if he doesn't get anywhere close to that 2.2 that we're looking at, 3.1 is still a real huge value in fantasy with the strikeout numbers. So I see no real reason to shy away. And you know what? There's an outside shot if Chicago decides to blow it up, he's going to be the top of the list for a contender
Big
trying
return.
to pull him. I don't see Chicago doing that. They should be throwing all the money in the world at him to get at least a pitcher to be in their rotation for the foreseeable future. But You
They
know,
got Kopech. I mean, someday you'll believe. Someday.
I'll believe the minute I see him coming out of the bullpen. Like that's exactly when I will start believing. Next on the list here, Rosny Contreras, buy, sell, hold, Robbie. What do you got? 50 innings pitched, 3 and 4, 4.5 ERA, 35 Ks across those 50 innings and 4 quality starts.
Yeah. So if I own him, I hold him. If I don't, I am not buying. So
Okay.
like that, I don't know how else is like I'm not in, and I don't see the way in which he's getting through games to be exciting. 4 quality starts is the best part of that stat line that I see. But 50 innings pitched, 35 Ks in any form outside of points where you're not getting dinged for losing, Contreras is not an effective pitcher for you. He is absolutely dynasty SP5 right now.
Yeah, and I would agree. I'm definitely putting him on the buy list, Robbie, but I'm going to make it
Okay.
a little bit different. My
Like,
buy
would you
is
buy him and stream him?
no, my buy is completely time sensitive, and I'm not buying him right now. I'm going to let him struggle. I'm going to wait till after the All-Star break before the trade deadline, and he's either going to be demoted or he's going to be
Whoa.
struggling so bad that I think you're going to be able to pull him. And the
Hmm.
arm is here. There's enough here. There's more strikeout numbers here. The fly ball rate is a problem right now for him. That's, I would say, one of the big issues that he's facing. In his last couple starts, it's turned into a home run problem. He's given up 5 home runs in May across 4 starts. The ERA obviously has climbed throughout the season, but overall, his 4 May starts have been far more consistent recently. So I'm not ready to buy yet because he still has just too much shine. I'm gonna let him kind of come back down. His last 2 starts were reasonable, but like he's given up less than a hit per 9 in May, Robbie. Like that's an important one for me.
Mhm.
I think that plays. His FIP is right around his ERA. It's just north. So the peripherals that are there. The fly ball thing is what I'm looking at, and that's we talked about it with a guy like Casey Mize, right? Obviously, he got hurt. We didn't get to see that crystal ball come into action, but I see this as a similar play, and I think it will come back around, and I do think he'll reach SP3, SP2. That's where I think he'll end up in the long run. So buying, but I'm buying in 3 months.
This is a poor comparison, and I haven't done the work on it, but I mean, we'll throw this out there. You can edit this out, right? Oh wait, we don't
No,
edit. Rosemary Contreras is a poor man's Marcus Stroman.
no, absolutely not.
All right. Well, let's see how that one ages.
There's just the ground ball rate's not there for me. Like I don't.
Okay. So in that, yes, you're right. I'm looking at the stat line as far as like innings pitched to Ks, and then we want to see the best case scenario for Contreras is quality starts. So contact pitcher, because he's clearly not a strikeout pitcher. He's not a swinging strike guy. That's not who he is.
I disagree a little bit with that. I think he's going to be a little bit better and see some improvement as he goes through it. He's never going to be Dylan Cease. That's not who he is.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I do think he could be almost like an Aaron Nola, where he has these games where he's absolutely electric, and then he has some games where he's not so much like that. That I see in his future. Maybe not as consistent as Aaron Nola. Maybe that's the one thing that makes him not that top tier of the rotation. But I am going to say that I see something that can be better than what we've seen. It's just a matter of him having the appropriate runway. And I think Pittsburgh has zero reason to not give it to him.
Do you have his age in front of you? I'm going to quickly look at it. I know he's super young. Okay.
Still very young.
Yeah. So, and again, that goes back to my holding if I have him, but I'm not willing to pay the price because it's just going to be too high, in my opinion, to get him at the moment.
And the big thing, Robbie, that I like, and this I've talked about this before, like his career minor league K per 9 is 8.8, right? So that's across all his innings.
Right around there. Yeah, he's better than
hold the phone.
better than he's been. Okay.
Hold the phone, right? But over AA and AAA, that spiked to 12.6 and 12.3. So that's why I say there's more here than it's kind of like a transformer. It's more than meets the eye.
Wow.
And
nice.
Yeah, I went there. So definitely something that I'm buying, but I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer.
Okay, well, let's go to the other side of the high K per 9 guy. The once upon a time to what do we have left here? And that's Noah Syndergaard. Ty. Now, I know you're going to say sell him or I would never have rostered him. That's
I would
not who
never
I
have paid
am.
$25 for him. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, in the league in which you're referring to that I have him for that, 10 of those dollars are paid this year.
That's
Yes, I
fair.
have him in a real money auction league that we've talked about before. 41 in the third innings pitched. He's a 1-3 record, 30 Ks, 5.88 ERA, 3 quality starts. Not ideal. The one thing you're going to look at is, okay, well, he's got 3 quality starts. That's not the worst thing. And the Dodgers are decimated with starting pitcher injuries, so he should stick in the rotation. He was pulled last year when he went to the Angels. Is that right? Yeah, he was with the Angels last year. And end of season, he was out of the rotation. But he's going to stick around for at least, what, 8, 10 more starts minimum if he sucks. Ty, what are you thinking here? Run?
I've never been in. I will never be. He's old. Michael Kopech is what he is.
Oh,
He's just
man.
an old version
This
of
is
that guy.
unfair.
Yeah. So that's my concern. Like, I there's just not enough consistency. He doesn't have 100-mile-an-hour fastball anymore.
Yeah, he's sitting, I think, at like what was it they said? Something of his that was his devastating pitch was like 90, 92. Was it a slider maybe? Like
his slider was
fastball, I think it's like
yeah.
94, 95.
Yeah, his
And
slider when
slider's like
he was
92.
electric was 91, 92. Now
That was the pitch, right?
yeah, but
If
if he's
I'm
throwing
not
his
mistaken.
if he's not throwing his slider 4 or 5 at least below the fastball, then the adjustments, going to be there in a lot of cases. But you need to be able to get that fastball by them. You don't want them timing up the same thing and having the adjustment in the back of their mind on the same velocity, right? Like that's just not how you get major league hitters out. So that's the big concern here is I just don't think the stuff's as good or sharp as it once was. The fastball is definitely not as sharp as it once was, and that's really the big issue here for Syndergaard. As a result, like I'm selling if I, for whatever reason, accidentally picked him up. But if not, I'm running the other direction.
And I'm going to say that there could be some Dodger magic within. Not that he's like going to be there in 2024 or whatever, but he could be the type of guy who, yeah, you want to hold on to. And that's because you're not getting anything back in the first place. So it's not like I'm excited. But again, he is at the point where even in a 30-team league, I'm about to start making him a streamer, not a regular guy. And again, I'm saying 30-team league because if you are in a league where you have 40-man rosters and basically everyone who has an MLB at bat or throws in a baseball towards a catcher in game gets picked up, Syndergaard is about at the point where I want to make sure he's not hurting my lineup. And I'd love for him to take on some coaching and figure out a way to work with what he's got. But I feel like he's still at the point of, he's so pride-filled that he needs that reality check to set in. And maybe it will after 2 months of baseball, right? He doesn't have 50 innings pitched by the time May ends. That's going to suck. He's 2 years removed from injury. Let's see what he's got. But anyway, transitioning into injury, Ty, Drew Rasmussen is hurt again. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries already. Tampa Bay immediately put him on the 60-day IL. The day after he had a gem of a start, he was my best pitcher in 2 of my dynasty leagues. What are you thinking on long-term Drew Rasmussen right now? Tampa Bay right-handed pitcher. I think he's 28 years old. 2 Tommy Johns. Just to refresh.
I love
buy, sell,
Drew.
hold.
Yeah, I love Drew Rasmussen, but I mean, just depends on your scenario, right? Like, there's a league where I would hold him. There's a league where I would take anything that helps me stay competitive. I don't want to give up on him until Tommy John's official, but I would say the minute Tommy John's official, he might be done. Like that could be it.
It'd be
possibly
the 3rd Tommy John.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I don't know what kind of glue they're using. Like if they're using like Elmer glue, like I don't know how they're getting those muscles to stay intact after those surgeries, but that slider it's like a 3rd one is gonna be hard to come back from and maintain that stuff. So that for me is enough to be kind of out. And it's a scary one. I'd rather be wrong than than on him being successful than be right on what I think's the more reasonable future for him. So I'm selling anywhere I can.
Okay. Right flexor strain is the report. One of
Mhm.
the issues in buying him, which I will caution everybody out there, is that he's going to be on the IL. So if your league has unlimited IL spots, the guy that has them doesn't care that he's on the. I mean, he cares in the sense that he's missing the stats. Like 8 starts into the year, he had 3 quality starts, 4-2 record, 44 and 2/3 innings pitched, which is high. A lot of innings he was pitching. A 2.62 ERA and a 1.05 whip. Like he was helping you at
Yeah.
all points. And he did have 3 stinker starts, but then his final 2 starts were both very good starts for Drew. Anyway, what I wanted to say with this is if the league you're in is unlimited IL, he's not going to come cheap. And you're going to have to be buying into, like Ty just said, the potential he'll never be able to come back as an effective pitcher because the third Tommy John return has not happened. I think Kyle Drabeck may or may not have tried it. And if you don't know who that is, oh baby, let's get back
Yeah.
into the Roy Halladay trade of 2012. But maybe we shouldn't get into that.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah, no, we shouldn't.
That is the equivalent of Kyle Harrison for Max Scherzer in his prime. Or Kyle Harrison, sorry, not Carl, whatever I said. But anyway, point is, I'm with you, Robbie. Like there's too much risk here, though. Like that's the thing. Like,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
yeah. There's just too much.
You're gonna give up a heck of a lot for a guy that 18 months ago we were telling you to go pick up, but 18 months ago he was a waiver wire guy all across the board with Milwaukee, and then a trade to Tampa Bay and a few like starts back to the bullpen starts, and we really believed at that point in time, and it wasn't until last year that it was finally able to come together for him. Now all of a sudden, everybody's really excited and promised, and he's doing so well, and he's hurt. They shut him down because they do not want whatever happened to get worse. They do not want it to be that TJ3, So
and they might also just be looking at it and be like, listen, we're ahead of everybody by like 400 games. Let's you're going to just sit for a little bit, get that arm.
And we lost Jeffrey Springs. He is not coming back. We would like you to come back. Yeah, maybe that's it. Okay. Anyway, let's end on a high note. Ty, I'm gonna cue you up for this one. Alek Manoah, who for everybody who's been listening recently, I said was the number 1 starting pitcher under 25, 53 and 2/3 innings pitched. I see what you're doing. I see you flashing that on the screen if you're following us on YouTube. 1-5 record, 46 Ks, 38 walks, 5.33 ERA, 1.7 whip, and only 2 quality starts. In my opinion, the worst thing that happened to Alek Manoah this year was that they made him the opening day starter. It put a lot of crap in his head that he did not need when you've got Gosman, you've got I know you've got Kukuch, but whatever. You've got Bassett, who you just signed. You've got guys, and they were like, Manoah, you get to sit on top of this mountain. Ty, you said bye. Can you please explain why we should?
This is it's funny. Like this one has been frustrating for me to watch the internet just tell everybody how bad Alek Manoah is, and you can tell very few of them actually watch the Blue Jays. Now, has Alek Manoah been good? No, he's been terrible. Like there's no real argument there. And if you're in a redraft, you need to scrape together some value. Like this might not happen overnight. He might not be fixed next week, right? But this is a mechanical thing, and that's it. That's it. Right? Everyone's all worried about, well, he gets hit hard sometimes. Cool. So do a lot of pitchers, right? The difference is some of them get hit hard into the ground, and guess what? Alek Manoah is one of those guys, right? And every now and then it gets elevated and it gets pounded, right? But Chris Bassett gets pounded, like Gosman every now and gets crushed, right? Stroman gets the ball up every now and then, right? Like these things happen to good pitchers all over the place of every type. And guess what? This is the first time he's succeeded. Look at the run he had before, right? He had 6 innings in almost every single one of his career starts until this season. Like that doesn't happen by accident, right? So now to hear everybody say how bad he's going to be forever is just lunacy. Now,
malarkey, if you will.
Yeah, mentally, like I will say this, there's a wild card here, Robbie. Like mentally, he could go off the rails. right? He could Chuck Knobloch for a couple years. He could never ever come back mentally, but physically and his ability to throw the baseball is not going to be the reason that he doesn't come back. So if he can get things tied back together, which I think he will, he's an absolute buy in every single format. And I would suspect, Robbie, that if he is not fixed before the All-Star game, it will be right after the All-Star game, and he will be a must own in the second half because regardless of whether he gets fixed or not, he's still full of piss and vinegar, and that's going to help him power through struggles a little bit, and he will help any team that owns him down the stretch. That's the way I see it, Robbie. And if I'm off by 8 months, cool, but he'll be back. So buy everywhere.
Yeah, if someone is dumb enough to say, I'm going to put Manoah on the block, they're doing it for only, I think, two reasons. One is to get like some ridiculous overpay, Yuri Perez plus. They're just trying to like sell because they're very scared. But those same guys, if you wait 2 weeks and they don't make a deal, you can come back with something pretty reasonable. And they're going to be like, okay, let's look at the stats. Okay, so here we go. And I've got how many starts left this year? Math, carry the 7. Yep, no, I'll make that deal for this wily veteran who, you are happy to sail away in your Keep Forever Dynasty League to get 10 plus years of Alek Manoah. And like Ty said, you might want to be cautious moving forward over the next several starts and stream him, which is not the worst thing in the world. Sometimes it's worth it to have less innings pitched and to lose in your weekly strikeout count and possibly your quality start and possibly your wins if your league also counts losses, if your league counts those kind of negative stats. You want to make sure you're putting Manoah in situations where he's going to do well. So bigger parks, right? Those kind of things, like just initially. And then once you feel comfortable, you just put him back in every week. It's to the point that I'm at with Kopech now, where for 4 weeks, I was like, I'm not too sure if I'm going to start him or not. And I sat him a couple times and then he had good starts. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because I sat him that he had a good start, because why not be, thinking that you're the reason the player is or is not good. But once you realize after the third time, okay, they're back, Manoah is going to be a steal in whatever league you've been able to acquire him in, because he will not be available once the offseason comes without you paying so much, because someone's just going to say, oh, look at that track record, right? They're going to throw this year out and tell you to look at the track record, which is what we're telling you to do right now. Look at the track record, throw out what you've seen so far in 10, 11 starts.
Yeah, and it's been, for me, like the interesting part is it's almost entirely the bottom half mechanics wise for him. Like he cannot get his feet right, and if you've watched any of the games, which I do, Robbie, he's checking the mound every other pitch. Like he's kicking dirt around. Like he's clearly a combination of in his head and broken mechanically. But this happens to big humans, right? Like look at Shaq in free throws. Like these things are hard for big humans to do, and when they get out of alignment, it takes a little bit of time to fix it. But this is one I have all the confidence in the world that it'll fix, because most of the stuff that's been hit very, very hard has split the plate and is one of those famous dick shots, Robbie. So I think he will slowly move away from that, and I think he'll get it all figured out.
All right, fair enough. Well, you know who to buy, who to sell, and who to hold on for starting pitchers. Perhaps we'll talk hitters next. Maybe we'll hop into the minor leagues. We don't know. If you've got an idea, hit us up at Dingers Pod. We're here to give you the content you want and make you more better at the baseball.
Yep, I like it. And until next time, it's Tyler and Rob here